Are you planning to buy a new guitar for yourself or a loved one, but you don't know how to check it? Or have you ever excitedly purchased a new guitar only to go home and realize that it has a lot of issues with it and you wish that you knew better? Then this video is for you. So hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Gear Chat with Parth, and today I'll be talking about how you can check a guitar before buying it from a store. So let's get right to it. So before we begin, I just want to let you know that I'll be using an electric guitar to cover most of the points that I'll be making, and these apply to different instruments like acoustic guitars and bass guitars as well. And don't worry, I'll be making a separate video just for acoustic guitar in the future. So let's get on to it. When you go to buy a new guitar, it's very likely that your instrument might be hanging from a wall hanger like this. So what you want to do is ask one of the employees to get it down for you, and then what you want to check is there are no marks from where the guitar is hanging. It's very likely that there could be marks over here. If there are just some blemishes, then you don't really need to worry about that, but you want to check for scratches. If it has any scratches or cracks even, then that's not the guitar you want to take. Now when most people select a new guitar, they do that on the basis of its attractiveness, its looks. It could be a color or a finish that they're drawn to, or simply just the aesthetics of the guitar. But once you get a guitar that you like, what you want to do is you want to take the guitar and have a closer look at the finishing and the paint job. You don't want to see any kind of cracks or chips on the body. And also on the neck, you don't want to see, like I mentioned before, you don't want to see any cracks or chips over here. Then have a look around the tuners on the front side of the headstock. Make sure there's no cracking anywhere, and that's especially so on Gibson style instruments, especially the ones that have the headstock angled backwards. So that this would be the area where there could be a cracking. Those tilted back headstocks are prone to cracking, so you really want to make sure that there's no hairline cracks or anything like that over there. Another important area that you want to check is the neck pocket. You want to make sure that the screws seem to be tightened all the way in, they're not popping out or something like that. And then you want to make sure that there's no gap between the neck and the pocket. There should not be any small gap, because that gap or that air gap could lead to the neck being warped or twisted in the future. Oh, and I want to mention that if you select a guitar that has a vibrato or a tremolo unit like this, and then it looks like this, then it's nothing to worry about. It could just mean that it's set up floating, or it's been on the wall, or that it's been in tune for a long time and the strings have pulled it upwards like this. Now once you've selected the guitar and you've checked the body, the neck, the paint job or the finish, the next thing, and this is very important, you want to check the fret job. The first thing that you want to do is you want to feel the side of the frets. Just make sure that the frets are not sticking out, they don't feel sharp, because that's the first thing your hand will make contact with on the guitar. So that could be because of a bad fret job, a bad setup at the factory, or it could be also because of the weather. When frets stick out, it's called fret sprout, and that's usually because the guitar is exposed to cold temperatures. So expect that in the winters. But this is nothing to worry about, and fret sprout can be fixed very quickly and easily, and that is something that I'll make a video on in the future as well. Now sticking to frets, another thing I want to mention, and this is one of the most important things, is that you want to make sure that your frets, the tops of those frets are perfectly rounded. They shouldn't have any kind of dents or rust on them. Although rust can be fixed, but make sure there are no dents on these frets. You want to make sure that all the frets are rounded properly seated as well. They should not be popping out from the fretboard. Make sure that is not the case on both the sides of the fretboard, because again, frets will be the first thing that your hands will make contact with while you're playing. Another reason why checking the top of the frets is so important is the intonation. If the frets are not properly rounded or crowned, which is a technical term for it, then you'll have some intonation problems, meaning that you'll play a certain note and it will sound off, it will sound detuned, or you might not even hear that particular note because the frets are flat or dented. That's why make sure the frets are perfectly crowned or rounded. Now the next thing you want to check is the electronics of the guitar. Choose a nice amp that you like, plug it in. When you plug it in, there shouldn't be any hissing noise from the output jack. And you can also check with different amps and make sure that the amp is not the problem. Then do the same for the potentiometers, the pot. Hit a note, turn the volume pot all the way off and all the way on. Do the same for the tone pots. All the while you can also check the 5-way or the 3-way switch, what have you. Make sure that when you are playing around with these parts, there's no noise. And also double check with a different amp, so the amp is not the problem. And if you have a guitar which has single coil pickups like these, then there might be a little bit of a buzz, which is completely normal, and that's called the 60 cycle hum. So don't worry about that. But if there's any piercing hiss or hum, that could be a grounding issue or some other issue in the electronics. So make sure you check with a similar guitar into 2 different amps and then determine if there's a problem with the original guitar that you selected. Another important part of any guitar is the nut. You want to make sure that the nut itself doesn't have any cracks on it. You want to make sure that it's properly seated. It's not popping up from the slot. And you also want to have a closer look at all the different string slots. You want to make sure that they don't seem to be lower or higher than one another, and then they don't have any scratches along them. Now the next and the most important way of selecting a new guitar is of course playing it. When you play it, you want to see how it resonates. You want to see how it feels when you are playing along the fretboard. You want to check for any kind of dead spots, because dead spots mean that there could be a minor dent or a chip on the frets which you might not notice so easily, but when you play it, it becomes evident. So that's what you want to check. You also want to check if there's any weird pinging noise or any kind of a noise when you're playing around with the tremolo, let's say. There might be a little bit of clinking noise, but that's normal. That's nothing to worry about. And the rule is, if it sounds good, it is good. If it feels good, then it is good for you. You also want to make sure that if you don't know what kind of pickups you like, try one guitar, check it with different kinds of amps, then pick another guitar. If the first one you had has single coils, then the other one could have humbuckers, and try that with 2 different amps again, and see which one sounds nice to you, which one appeals to you, and which one is the most comfortable for you. And once you find that comfortable, appealing guitar, that's the guitar you want to go with. If you like a certain guitar and you're worried that the action feels high, or if you know about it and you think that the relief is not correct, don't worry about that. Those are the kind of things that can be fixed after buying a guitar. Or if you're comfortable with it, or you have a bit of experience of it, you can even set up your guitar by yourself. By the way, I do have a video of how you can set up a guitar by yourself, and I'll put that right up here. And if the guitar you select has a tremolo or vibrato unit like this, or even a Floyd Rose one, you want to make sure that you play around with it. And when you do that, there is no weird noise, any kind of a clinking noise around these posts, because that could mean that the knife edges could be damaged if you hear any kind of a noise over there when you're playing around with the bar. And speaking of tremolo units, you want to make sure that when you are playing around with the bar, there's no noise over here in the nut slots as well. And your guitar, especially if it's a Floyd Rose equipped guitar, it could have a nut not like this but a double locking nut like this. And then you want to make sure that there's no rusted parts or sharp damaged parts at the double locking nut, because that could introduce tuning problems, or it could even cause string breakage and you might not even know what the problem was. Oh, and if you're buying a guitar with a tremolo or a vibrato like this, or even a Floyd Rose one, most of these units come with a pop-in arm like this as opposed to a screw-in arm. So they should come with an Allen key like this. So make sure that when you buy it, you ask the salesman if they are giving all the tools that come with the guitar. And you'll need this so that you can adjust the tension of the vibrato bar, and even a different Allen key to adjust the little screws on the saddles. Once the guitar that you selected checks out all the different criteria that I've mentioned throughout this video, you can rest assured that you have a definitely good instrument in your hands, and you can go ahead and make the purchase. So I hope this video will prove helpful to you when you go to purchase your next guitar. And if you have any questions or comments or doubts even, feel free to leave me a comment down below, or you can even contact me on my Facebook or Instagram page. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll definitely make a video going over how you can check an acoustic guitar in the future. If you like this video, please hit the like button below and also subscribe to my channel to help me make more videos like this and also to support my efforts. Thank you for watching.